Why Western men marry Asian women. This is a very vocal subject because I believe that not a lot of people talk about these things because they do matter, and today I want to give you a bunch of reasons why Western men marry Asian women. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to never miss any of my future videos. And in case you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, then all you need to do is click on that like button now. The first huge reason why Western men marry Asian women is because of youth. Right? Youth matters. Youth is super important to the average guy. There's nothing better than hanging out with a beautiful girl, and that has been confirmed over hundreds of thousands, millions of cases, and youth matters a lot. It increases the guy's self-esteem, makes the guy feel better, makes the guy look better, makes the guy pretty much make easier decisions all day long. So naturally, men are drawn to beauty, men are drawn to younger women. It's always been like this. You know, the younger the better, the younger the blood, the better. And from what we know is that a guy who's in his 40s or 50s would be more than happy to marry a girl in the 20s, That is just the law of nature. It's just how the world works. Western men marry Asian women because they are less demanding. What do I mean by they are less demanding? Well, it's pretty simple. A girl from Asia, she comes from a more simplistic culture. It comes from a modest culture, from modest means. So a girl like this is not going to have huge demands. Meaning, if you take her out, right, she's not going to say, oh, please buy me this. Oh, get me this perfume or this and that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are Asian women like this. And those are the ones you want to stay away from. The gold diggers, stay away from them. You can smell them from 10 miles away. They're no good. Just stay away from them. They're really not good. Or Asian women that have been with a bunch of Western men. They're no good either, because they have already done a lot of tasting. They have maybe higher requirements, higher standards than some Western woman does. So maybe you don't want to get involved with that either. So you got to be careful, Don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you can judge a book a little bit by its cover. It's not a horrible idea to do that. But in general, yeah, they're less demanding because they come from a humble culture. They're not used to getting all this stuff. So if you hang out with them, chances are they're not going to be very demanding, especially if you stay with her in her country. A country that's modest, that's not about superficial things. It's not just about plazas, going to the plazas, the shopping malls, and buying stupid things you don't need. Nothing like that, right? You just hang out with her, you just spend time on simple things, that make you happy without spending a lot of money. And that's what life in Asia is about anyway, right? You go out to eat, you have a good time, you go for some cheap massages here and there. That's what life is all about, but you don't really spend money on super expensive things like you do in the West. So if you marry an Asian girl, chances are you're not going to need to spend a lot of money on your wedding. If you do, against your will, if it's against your will, then you should reconsider, obviously, because what's the point of moving there if you're going to have the same conditions as back home? The whole point is to save money. The whole point is to have a simpler life and to marry someone who is obviously younger, someone who is less demanding, someone who is modest. Better sex life. A reduction of sexual drive usually occurs in the 40s, the late 40s, and the 50s. I mean, that's for women, right? For men, it looks very differently. The testosterone declines a little bit, decade after decade, but generally speaking, older men still have more hunger, still have more sexual drive than an older woman. That's just how it is. So if you've been married to an older woman and things haven't been working out very well in the bedroom, well, I don't blame you for that. It's just nature, right? It's natural for a woman to ask or to want less and less sex over time. Obviously, for a man, that can be beyond frustrating. And what are you going to do if your partner doesn't give you a lot of sex, right? I mean, okay, I get it. You can watch adult movies on the internet and stuff like that, or you can do who knows what you do, but most men get upset about that and they want a better sex life, right? Or they never had a decent sex life in the West to begin with, so they decided to move to Asia to have a better sex life. And with a younger woman, you're gonna have a better sex life. Because being with a local girl is an advantage. Again, if you live in a country, Western men marry Asian women because they want to live in Asia, and to be with a local woman is a huge advantage versus being with a Western woman. Why? Because the Western woman may not speak the local language. In fact, very rarely, if ever, will a Western woman speak the local language. they don't know the area, they're not familiar with the culture and whatever. So being with a local woman is a huge advantage for a Western guy looking to live in Asia. So marrying an Asian woman is just a more natural fit for somebody who wants to live in Asia. Is it a natural fit for somebody who wants to live in the West? Well, the girl would need to adjust to the Western standards, to Western society, meaning the girl needs to change herself to fit in, unless she just wants to operate within her own social grouping, then that's different. But a lot of Asian girls that migrate to Western countries, they do adjust. So by being with a local woman, you pretty much have a tour guide, you overcome language barrier, and cultural differences too. Another reason why Western men marry Asian women is because they want to own land in Asia. As you probably know, very few Asian countries allow Western men to own land there. It's very difficult because the locals are prioritized, a foreigner does not automatically get equal rights. In fact, most of the times don't, and neither by becoming a resident, you as a foreigner will ever have equal rights to a local person. It's just not going to happen. You're never going to operate at the same level. Even if you become a resident, potentially a citizen, if you're a citizen, you're going to have rights anyway, but the local person will always be preferred. Owning property is just a lot more appealing, and that is one of the only ways that a foreigner, that a Western guy can live in Asia, have his own place, not have to worry about paying rent every month. So they rather marry an Asian girl so they can own property and have a fixed home to live in. And of course, how could I forget that? I almost forgot it. I was about to turn off the camera. Having kids, that is unquestionably a big reason, one of the biggest reasons why Western men marry Asian women. Some never got married to begin with for whatever reason, it didn't work out. They were too busy building a business, they were too busy working, or they were not interested in getting married in the West because of all the downsides, all the obligations, it's not easy to get married in the West these days, because the man is at a huge disadvantage. That's just the law of the land. However, they want to have kids, they haven't done it in the West, they want to do it in Asia, so naturally marrying someone is the way to go. Why do Western men marry Asian women? What do you think about this subject? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and click that notification bell. If you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, then please click that like button now. If you haven't grabbed a copy of my ebook, Nomad Elite, The Insider's Guide to Retaining a Life of Freedom, then you can do that now by clicking on the link in the description of this video. If you got some more time left, check out these videos. Thank you for watching.